Hello everyone. Today I'm going to teach you how to proofread your documents if you are blind or visually impaired. All you will need is a document that you would like to check, a copy of the JAWS screen reader, and Microsoft Word or a similar piece of software. The feature I'm going to teach you about is called Text Analyzer, and the reason I say you'll need to be a JAWS user is because it is a feature of that screen reader. Now, it can be difficult to proofread if you're blind or visually impaired because there are lots of small errors that are easy to miss. This includes things like stray punctuation or extra spaces. The reason these are easy to miss is because your screen reader might actually read the document completely normally, but there may still be those errors. So I'm going to have a quick listen to a few lines of a document and we'll see if anything sounds wrong with it. And then we'll try that feature to see if it can kind of show us anything else. I have slowed down my screen reader a bit, so hopefully everybody can understand it. This document is a book review which has actually been published on my blog, and I'm using it to demonstrate.
I read Matthew Ward's Legacy trilogy and absolutely loved it, so I was eager to start a new series set in a completely different world. I had to remind myself not to compare the two, especially because at first I found this a little harder to get stuck into. The world building is
Okay, so we've listened to a few lines of it, and I think it sounds pretty
top of
good.
file.
So I've navigated back to the top of the file, and I will enable the text analyzer feature to see what happens. To do that, we're going to press the JAWS key and V, and that will open up quick settings.
Quick settings word dialog. Search box edit. Type in text. Control plus E X T.
And we're going to type the word
Text analyzer. One of
text
three search results.
in the search box.
Three search results list box. Text analyzer off. Reading options. Use the
So
arrow.
it says text analyzer is off, so we'll press space
Space.
once.
Indicate with sound. 2 of 4.
So this will indicate with sound.
Search. OK button.
So
Dash space. Edit.
now if we go back to the document,
I read Matthew Ward's Legacy trilogy and absolutely loved it, so I was eager to start a new series set in a completely different world. I had to remind myself not to compare the two, especially because at first I found this a little harder to get stuck into.
do you hear those small buzzing
Top of
sounds? Well, they indicate that there are some errors in my document. So even though the document sounded pretty good, there are clearly some problems with it. Now, although I know there are errors, I don't know what they are. So we're going to need to change the text analyzer to a different mode so that we can actually find out. So back to quick settings with JAWS key and V.
quick settings word T. Three search results space. Speak count. 3 of 4.
So the next option in text analyzer is speak count. So that will tell you how many errors there are, but again, not what they are.
Space. Describe inconsistencies. 4 of
And
4.
the last option is describe inconsistencies.
Search
That
OK.
is the one
Expand.
we
OK button.
want.
Space. Edit.
So now when we listen to the document,
I read Matthew Ward's Legacy trilogy and absolutely loved it, so I was eager to start a new space run at column 16 series set in a completely different world.
so I hope you heard that before it started reading the line, it actually said space run at column 16. What that's telling me is that I've included more than one space by accident, and it's telling me where that mistake is on the line. So column 16 on the line.
Stray punctuation period at column 76, especially because it's
So again, we've got another error. This is a piece of stray punctuation. It's a stray full stop at column 76. So going back to the top of
top
the
of 5.
document. So I know what the mistakes are. I roughly know where they are, but you might still be wondering, okay, do I really have to use the right arrow to go all the way through that line to find the mistake? And the answer, thankfully, is no. There's another shortcut that you can use, and the amazing thing about this key is that you actually don't need Text Analyzer on at all to use it. So if you were just reading a document, didn't have the feature enabled, but it's still helpful when you do have it switched on. What that feature will do is it will help you find the next error in the document or the previous error, and it will take you right there. So if we arrow down,
space run at column 16 series set in a completely different world.
so we know we've got a space run at column 16 on line 2. So if I go
I
back to
read
line
Matthew
1 and I'm going to press this shortcut, and it is Alt Windows I.
space run at column 16.
So what you probably heard is it says space run at column 16 and it doesn't start reading anything else. So it's literally just taking me to that run of spaces.
A space.
So I pressed the left arrow to find the word before or the character before and it said A. And then as I pressed right arrow, it said space and then another space. And so what I can now do is delete
Space.
that extra space. And now if I go one line
I
up
read Matthew Ward's Legacy.
And then if I go to the second line,
Siri said in a completely different world.
we hear that that error is gone. So if I press Alt Windows I again,
Stray punctuation period at column 76. Space. O. T. O. Space. Period. Space.
so
Period.
what you can hear is that there
Space.
is a space
Period.
on
Space.
either side of this full
Period.
stop. So I'm going to delete
Space.
one of those spaces. If I press it again,
Space run at column 77. Unclosed left quote at column 22.
so I've now gone to the, well, I've skipped over one error. And let's say I think, oh, I actually want to go back to the previous error. If I press Alt Windows Shift I,
Space run at column 77.
there we go. We've gone to the previous one. And now to the next one.
Unclosed left quote at column 22.
And now
Space
to
run
the
at column
previous one.
77.
So by doing Alt Windows I, you go to the next error. Alt Windows Shift I, you go to the previous error, and it will take you right to the place on the line where the problem is. The great thing about Text Analyzer is that you've got lots and lots of control over it. You can select which kinds of problems it wants you want it to alert you to. Sorry. So you can choose different types of punctuation, you can choose different kinds of font changes. Let's say if you wanted to know if the actual font family had changed, so the type of font, but not the color. So let's say you only use Arial in your document, but there are different sections of it that you use different colors in. So you don't want it to keep alerting you that each color is a mistake, but you do want to know if the font has actually been changed. You can have that level of control over it. So that I think is really, really good. If you want Text Analyzer to be on all the time, not just if you're in Word, then you won't want to go to Quick Settings. You'll want to go to the Settings Center in JAWS itself, and you can have the Text Analyzer on by default then, and you can also control all of those different parameters. I hope this has been helpful. I think it's a great feature, and I really regret that I didn't start using it earlier. It's been around in JAWS for a long time, but I've only recently started using it, and I think of how much easier my master's degree would have been had I used it when I was writing my dissertation. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, and I hope you enjoy using it.